When I went away to college, I found myself spinning. I almost immediately kind of lost it. I grew up in a situation where I was under the thumb of a very harsh, toxic parent. Because of this excessive amount of control that was exerted during childhood, I didn't really understand how to sort of be normal. And what I mean is everybody else seemed like they had more, I don't know, life experience somehow. I had been very controlled. Let me just leave it at that. Soon after school started, I was doing a lot of things that were just really not good for me. Not only did I try an experiment with alcohol, and I tried all the basic stuff people try in college, I guess, I found myself getting a certain kind of attention from men, the people around me, students, etc. I was 18 and I'd had a boyfriend throughout high school, but we had never, gone all the way. So I sort of wasted that first time on someone who was probably a 5th or 6th year senior and who didn't care about me at all. In this lack of self-awareness and this lack of understanding myself and who I was, I started to embrace this unhealthy attention in unhealthy ways. To put it mildly, I had a lot of friends with benefits, except they weren't really friends. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to go too deep into this because it's not about the actual situation, except for it's about what I was going through as an individual during that time. I told myself, I'm a liberated woman. I don't have to follow society's rules. Guys do this all the time. I shouldn't be bound by the fact that I'm female. I should be allowed to go out and do what I want to do and have fun. Gosh darn it, I would do what I wanted. I tried to tell myself, I'm not going to follow society's rules. I told myself what I was doing didn't really mean anything at all. It had no connection to anything. It was just a physical thing and that was it. And the truth was, and this is something I couldn't admit to myself or anyone else around me at that time, that at the time I was secretly hoping, and this is really embarrassing, secretly hoping that one of those people would just fall in love with me and sort of save me from myself. How ridiculous is that? But I did. But of course it didn't happen. It never happened. But in my insecurity and my lack of self-esteem, along with my, shall we say, premature physical connections to these people, well, in hindsight, I'm guessing I was probably a pretty unattractive option for just about any healthy person. Eventually, I learned my lesson the hard way, and I stopped living that way. I met a guy who I was madly in love with, and that didn't work out well either because, of course, he turned out to be a little bit toxic, but it took a lot of self-reflection and the development of a certain amount of self-awareness for me to understand. Thankfully, this happened within a year or two, but during that time, I can't even. It was ridiculous how crazy I went in that time. I would eventually have just enough self-esteem that I would recognize that, I was more than just that, and that I deserved to be treated like more than an actual object, which is what had been happening to me up to that point. And I thought it was all in my control. In reality, I was just secretly desperate for someone to approve of me and like me. And that was just the total wrong way of going about doing it. And in hindsight, I have a lot of shame and disgust with myself about having done that, but it taught me a lot of lessons, and it gives me something maybe that I can share with you today that maybe you can take some comfort in or some understanding. Maybe you've been there or you haven't been exactly there, but you've done something like that on some level in your own life, whether it was that sort of thing or some other way to sort of please people around you. I think we can all agree on one thing, that going through a toxic relationship of any sort does a real number on your self-esteem. In this case, I was affected by growing up the way that I did. Not only does it do a number on your self-esteem, but also on your ability to trust and believe in yourself. I didn't even know who I was. I thought I did. I did not. This is why a lot of times when I see super young adults, 18, 19-year-old people, I say, and I don't mean any insults to them, but I say, these people are still children, because I was still a child. I really was. I didn't understand what I was doing, why I was doing it, and I was lying to myself about it. Nearly anyone who has survived a relationship with a toxic narcissist experiences, at the very least, a very slight dip in their self-esteem. When we've also been raised by toxic people, or even when we've struggled with other types of trauma, like say we were relentlessly bullied all the way growing up, even if we had good parents at home, that's going to mess with our heads. We come out of these relationships completely crushed, with little to no self-esteem, self-worth, self-value. We forget who we are, or we never really knew. We think we don't deserve to be happy, or that we aren't being treated with love and respect, or we aren't worth that. Or we just decide we're better off alone and we steer clear of most people. Worse, when we aren't aware of what we've experienced or how it, what it all means, because a lot of times people come to me and they go, I didn't even know that I was being abused. I thought I was just messed up. we find ourselves jumping into, in some cases, toxic relationship after toxic relationship, never taking the time to heal ourselves, never taking the time to learn how to end that cycle in our lives and maybe our bloodlines. We fail to set boundaries. We allow people to walk all over us. We allow life to happen to us rather than choosing what it is that we want. All of this is the direct result, in my opinion, of really not understanding how to heal ourselves properly. Today I'm going to share with you the 4 keys of healing your own self-esteem so that you can create a life that you love. I'm going to focus on 4 specific things in order to really heal your self-esteem and maybe even bring it into existence for the first time, depending on what led up to this moment in your life. Self-esteem, as we all know, is very often directly linked with various types of success in life. Happiness, relationship success, career success, all those things. If you're not confident in who you are, well, you're probably not going to get very far because you're not going to be able to take any initiative. And if you do, you probably will doubt yourself so hard that you're going to end up on the other side of that road. But there are 4 main factors that can influence your self-esteem, and they're so simple, you're probably going to want to slap me when I tell them to you, but they're good. And it's going to sound oversimplified, but I think if you're here with me now, you're going to feel me on this. It's your feelings, your thoughts, your behaviors, and your actions. How well you develop each of those factors is really connected to how much self-esteem you have and how much self-awareness you have. And this in turn, of course, affects your ability to be happy in your life and be successful on any level. Feelings are the most basic of those factors. This is how you react emotionally. Immediately after something happens, what do you feel? What happens to your body? What happens to your emotions? If you have a lot of negative feelings, one of your first go-to emotions might be to get angry or upset. I can't tell you how many people in my life I know just like that. Inside the toxic relationship, chances are that you managed your feelings by, well, not managing them. Because I found in my own relationships, I was forced to either shove down the emotions or deal with the narcissistic rage and injury that came to me when the emotions didn't match what they wanted them to be. I'm sure you can relate to that. But if you're anything like me, this probably left you with some pretty deep emotional scars. Once you are, though, where we are now, where you're healing and you're evolving and you're moving forward in your life, well, then you might need to learn how to adapt your feelings in such a way that you'll be more likely to react positively to things, or at least neutrally to things. You'll be more able to handle those negative feelings as they come up in a more effective way. We all know that feelings are very important when it comes to our self-esteem. Clearly, they dictate how we handle certain situations. That's true whether we're talking positive or negative situations. We're moving on to thoughts. So thoughts are not the most complex of the 4 factors, but certainly can hold the most weight, because we all know that as we think, so we are, so on and so forth. Thoughts, obviously, the definition of anything running through your head. And your thoughts have an effect on your feelings directly, on your behaviors and your actions. Negative thoughts might be like thinking about things that you're stressed out about, or things that make you doubt yourself and your abilities. This is all about the intentional vibration management part here, like we talk about all the time. You have to recognize that negative thoughts, they mess with your life. So take the time to intentionally monitor your thoughts, at least for a couple of weeks, because if you do that, you'll notice you might think negatively more than you realize. And if you intentionally change those thoughts in the moment, you can really see a significant increase in your ability to be happy, which is awesome. If you recognize those negative thoughts and you stop them immediately and then intentionally replace them with positive thoughts, well, your self-esteem will almost automatically begin to lift. Pretty amazing. Now, let's move on to behaviors. Behaviors, they're harder to recognize. These are things we do subconsciously. So, for example, if you walk around with your head hunched low, your shoulders are slumped, well, that might be a sign of low self-confidence, but you might not even notice that you're doing it. What I found to be really effective is to ask people around me, like, what do you see? Do you notice any weird behaviors of mine, or do you notice anything that I seem to do without thinking about it? And if that's not possible, then you can always ask a therapist, a counselor, a coach, support group member, whatever. And once you notice those things, you can start to work on them. Or at the very least, if you're not able to ask someone, ask yourself. Become self-aware. Be aware of your posture. Be aware of what you're thinking and feeling and doing and saying. Literally, if you take 2 weeks to 4 weeks and you do this, you manage yourself. You watch how you think, you watch how you walk. It might be a little hard, but getting through that 2 to 4 weeks of that, it could literally change your entire life, because you will be intentionally managing not only your vibration, but your energy, which is all connected, of course, the same thing. Check yourself once an hour maybe if you need, or constantly monitor yourself if you're in a position to be able to do that. Actions are the next and final step in connecting your self-esteem to your happiness and your success. One of the worst actions, this is going to annoy you, one of the worst actions we can do is no action, inaction, taking nothing, doing nothing at all, keeping everything the same as it always has been. That's not going to work for us as survivors. We've had to go through a level of suffering, pain, whatever, that other people haven't, But we also have been, and I'm not trying to talk about the negative stuff here, we've been through some stuff. I'm just going to say that. But by learning how to take the risks necessary, how to put our thoughts into action, not just sitting around and hoping and wishing everything to come our way, but take those positive thoughts, take inspired action, moving forward into the better parts of our life, choosing intentionally what comes next. Well, we're not only going to boost our success and our happiness and all the good stuff, but our self-esteem is just naturally going to move forward and move up. All of these factors build on each other with thoughts that affect our reactions. Our reactions affect our behaviors affect our actions, and so on and so forth. So in order to know how to be confident in yourself, you need to have a really good grip on those factors. Thoughts affecting reactions affecting behaviors affecting actions.
The question of the day is, can you relate directly or indirectly to my experiences, and what did you think of the advice I shared today?
Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your experiences in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. As always, thank you so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life, and hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. Now, before I go, make sure you take a look at the videos I'm leaving for you here, and while you're here, hit that subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue on this healing journey together. I'll see you soon.